it feels so wrong. These are some of the amazing people that made the movie. So let's just give like, we're doing a Q&A afterwards. There were so many people that goes into this. Thank you all for coming. Those of you who have to leave or go to the bathroom if you're coming back. But thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So I'm gonna moderate since I know the most about the movie of anyone. So I just want to say a couple things because I feel like some of you might rewatch it. I don't know. You might get it on Tello or another streaming platform, but there's two things that I think are that no one's asked about that I always find fascinating. Not fascinating because I wrote them, so I mean maybe I guess that is fascinating. I don't know if you all noticed. There's a lot of times where someone says the word maybe in the movie. And that was incredibly intentional. And even during the filming at some points, I will throw in like when Grandma Robbins and when they talk about going to the tree farm and she says, do you think she'll be there? And then Noelle says maybe. There was another line written in there, but I thought, gosh, like this maybe keeps coming up. So I think that's just fascinating. So if you watch it again, notice how many times the word maybe comes up. And I think one of the earliest scenes that we did was when Callie says, like, do you think there's something here? And Noelle very earnestly says, maybe. And then she says, I don't have time for maybes. And then that kind of ends it. And so then throughout the filming, there's like, I kind of added in more maybes, which was not in the script. So if you end up watching it again, that's kind of a fun little thing that I think kind of happens throughout the movie. And the other thing too is, while we were filming, Noelle has kind of a writer hairdo, which is her hair up in a clip, which you'll notice that her hair is up in a clip quite a bit. And I wanted to pair that as she got closer to Pepper. You'll notice that Pepper more often will have her, like she starts out with her hair down and then it goes up in a clip more often. And then in the scene where she lights up the Christmas angel, she and Noelle there's like a really great shot that I think you probably didn't even notice it, but where their hair is the same. They're both up in a clip. And so I kind of wanted Pepper to take on some of Noelle's style a little bit with her hair. So that's in there as well. But so I'm gonna ask, so this is Matthew Zinn, who edited the movie. Not only did Matthew edit the movie, but he also did some of the visual effects that are in it, which there's very subtle visual effects, but we really needed it in different important times in the movie. And then he also did the color correction. So the movie is beautiful and well edited because of this straight white man, can you believe it? Edited this amazing lesbian holiday rom-com. And then Stacey Powell is Jillian in the movie, who really kind of makes forwards a lot of the action. So I'm gonna ask questions, and Stacey and I are gonna share a microphone. So the first thing I wanna do is I wanna ask Stacey, I know this because we've lived together, but she really worked hard on Jillian's backstory and wrote this whole extensive backstory on why Jillian is so on Noelle about writing this lesbian holiday rom-com. So I would love for you to talk about Jillian's backstory and what you where that intensity came from.
First, I want to say hi, thank you so much for coming, and please bear with me. This is only my second ever Q&A panel that I've done before, so I'm a little bit nervous, so if you just bear with me. But so for Jillian, Kristen came to me and asked me to read the script, and I read it, and the first thing I thought was, wow, Jillian's completely different than my personality. We're complete opposite people. So I asked her, I was like, okay, can I come up with a backstory for this character? Because I knew I would have to do that if I was able to go on set and really try to make it believable because in real life, I couldn't have done any of that. So I did. I came up with a story and basically just used it to help me hone in on Jillian's character. And I asked my kids to help me run lines, and I didn't want to ask Kristen at first because I knew she was busy with like trying to get the movie like together. So not secretly, but sort of like I'd go off and like try to learn the lines, and then I did like go on YouTube and be like, okay, you know, what are like tips for acting, like your first role, things like that, because I didn't know what I was doing. But I had so much fun with Jillian and the character, and just having this opportunity to be on The Christmas Writer, because it is such a cute movie, and I'm just really thankful for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, you did not answer the question.
Oh.
Baby, isn't she so cute? Isn't she so beautiful? No, like, what was Jillian's backstory? Like, you did this whole thing. Yes! Well, not that, I mean, you can truncate it, but like, I just think it's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Okay, well, I don't want to bore people, but okay, so in my mind, I was like, okay, what can I come up with? So I just was like, all right, Jillian, always wanted to get lesbian stories out there because she was, well, I use this because I was, in my real life, I was really close to my grandmother, and she loved Hallmark Christmas movies. And she was like big on romance, and just always was like, there's not enough kissing, there's not enough hand holding. And I kind of like used that, like I flipped it. I was like, okay, Jillian's grandmother really wanted to support her as a lesbian, and like she knew she was a book agent. She's like, you get those stories out there, you get all the stories you can, and make it number one, make it to where people can learn and just be inspired by romance. And so I was like, okay, that's what I'm going to use to go out there and just try to be Jillian, and like be like, you can do this, I want the story, like give me all you can. So that's what I would do. I mean, I just would think about it before I go out there. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was the
okay.
Yes, your grandma, who's no longer with us, but she loved Hallmark movies, and you use that. So Matthew, as an editor, you've worked on so many different genres in different parts of the post process. Like, what is unique, do you think, or what were you looking for in a holiday rom-com? I mean, it could be straight, it could be lesbian, it just happened to be two women, but like as an editor, like what are you looking for when you edit pieces together of a rom-com?
I think this was actually like part of.
Make sure is it green?
Okay, now it's green. I think this is actually like part of the line that I pitched to you when we were reviewing the script before we actually got into production, and it was like, well, like the I guess the sexual orientation of the characters doesn't matter. What matters is it's a good story. And you sent me this script, and obviously this is the second project that we worked on together. And I was like, I read the script, and there were some things where I had questions about. Like at one point, there was supposed to be a CG cat walking around Grandma's house.
We got rid of the cat.
We got rid of the cat.
That was too expensive. We didn't have that.
That was a budget thing. But yeah, I think the most important thing for me for working on a project like this or a show like this is that it is a good story, and this was a fun story, and it was something that was enjoyable to work on. It wasn't anything like super stressful about it or anything like that. It was a fun story, and it was nice to work on and help be a part of helping to tell it.
Amazing. Okay, so I don't have that many other things. I could talk forever about The Christmas Writer, but do you all have any? Yep. All right, Dallas, go ahead.
Okay, I got 3 questions.
Oh.
For you.
Holy shit. Okay.
Okay, so did you shoot with multiple cameras, or did you shoot a scene multiple times?
We shot a scene multiple times, so we had one camera.
Okay, and then the other one was, how long did it take you to write the script?
So I got the script, and it was a first-time writer, and I just want to say, if anyone's a writer in the audience, like one of my favorite things is to work with first-time writers. So so the first-time writer, Katie, sent it to me, and I will say, I will be honest, obviously there were so many things that I loved about it, but there were a lot of problems with like some of the timing that she had and some things that we just couldn't do, like the cat. I was like, we gotta get rid of the cat. That we just couldn't do. And so Katie and I actually went back and forth a couple of times, and then I grabbed it and rewrote it, and then took notes from Good Deed Entertainment, the production company that I was working with, and they really helped also. Just, there's so many people that come in and fine tune it, But I don't know how long Katie had worked on it beforehand, but I think we worked a good 3 months on really honing the script into what you see up on the screen now.
And my question was, how long does it take to edit a full feature?
The answer to
This
that-
one was fast.
This one actually had a really quick turnaround because we wanted to hit the deadline for this time of the year, but I think the usual answer I give to that is pretty sarcastic. I'm like, well, how long is a piece of string? It's a film like this, like I said, it's pretty fast, a few months, really, but it could be any length. I've worked on feature films that have been, going back between effects and editorial for over 2 years. So it really can be any length of time. This one, we had a hard-driven deadline that we had to meet, so that was kind of a really good impetus for not only for me for getting the scenes cut, but also for things like getting it approved by production. Like, they didn't have time to go in and noodle every frame like they'll sometimes do. So it really depends on kind of what the needs are for the deliverables.
The visual effects have a considerable amount of time.
Yes, it's a lot of times we'll get the edit done and we'll work in effects, and then this shot isn't going to work, or more like, oh, this shot if you're talking about like the Hollywood blockbuster level of film, they'll be like, oh, this shot, we had budgeted $30,000 for this shot, but these things happened on set and now it's going to cost $100,000, and then they'll kick it back to editorial and be like, you need to get rid of that shot. So
Just to give you guys an idea, Matthew has worked on my tiny little budget movies, but he's also worked on the Fantastic Four and Ant-Man and a couple of the Star Wars movies. So he has a he has a big budget, $150 million view of things, and then he has where I'm I have 5 cents. What can you do with the 5 cents, Matthew? And so he's right, this movie, because we wrapped in mid-June, and it is out now and you see it here, that is a very, very quick turnaround time. And everyone knew that, from Matthew to Ian, our amazing post-sound guy, to Mark, our composer. And we just had this incredible post team that really brought it together, that we had it available for people to screen because you need to get it to people or at least we wanted to have it by October 1st for people if anyone wanted to screen it for reviews. So that was and that's going through what's called a QC process, which is also a pain in the ass, but so that was a very, very short turnaround time. But yeah, Matthew's worked on some huge budget projects. Shreen in the back.
A bigger conversation. I love the fact that your rom-coms are not about coming out, and we've moved beyond the supporting cast presence. I just would love your thoughts on that, on really normalizing lesbian romance, mainstreaming it, and because it's also the impetus. It's very germane to what Tello does as well. So I'd love to.
Sure. Yeah. So. None of the movies that I've done have a coming out story. And I do think that if you think about kind of the arc of lesbian movies and storytelling, all of our early movies were very much about coming out. It was someone who either knew they were gay, who was helping someone else realize they were gay, or two people kind of figuring this out together. And I think that's kind of the progress of storytelling. And I think not that I please believe I do not want ever to say that coming out stories are no longer relevant. I don't believe that at all. But I do think we've now moved into, okay, our stories we've come out, and now it's a little bit more into someone has an aunt or a friend or they're gay, and so now it's now you can really get into okay, how do we feel about kids? How do we feel about buying a house together. What are our priorities the same? And I do think that has been the evolution of storytelling. In fact, I have 2 movies where someone identifies as non-binary, as a they, them, and it's not a big deal. It just, either they use those pronouns or someone is corrected and they use the pronouns properly, like moving forward. And so as a filmmaker, I like to create a world, and it might not exist where we all live, although I know we're in Oakland and Berkeley, where that is something that tends to be a little bit more of the norm or accepted. Stacey and I live in Nashville and have been in many small towns, and so I think that I like to create a small town where it's not a big deal. Like, that's one of the things that you heard from in Noelle and talking about her family, where she's like, my grandma has more, rainbow things than a leprechaun, and everything was fine, and the people were fine. And so I do tend to create more of a LGBTQ utopia in the things that we're seeing, because I like to project what can be and what should be. And I think there are amazing storytellers who tell in their view, like, what is and what they've experienced. And please know, like, I've gone through all different levels of, coming out and being accepted, just as everyone in this room. But if I'm gonna watch something and get lost in it, I'm gonna create the world that I want. And because I'm a storyteller and I'm a filmmaker and it's my movie, I can do that. And if you want to make something totally different, that is absolutely fine. That is your movie. But I really enjoy that I can. In fact, I will tell this story real quick. In the original script, Paulette was a man. He was a gay man named Paul. And when we cast Kendall Landreth as Aaron, Kendall has a partner, or a soon-to-be wife, actually, named Jordan, who plays Paulette. And I was like, oh man, how cool would it be if Jordan were to come out with Kendall and we could cast them in the movie? But I was like, who's Jordan gonna be? Like, we don't have any other characters. And one of the producers was like, well, why don't we take Paul and make it Paulette? And I was like, okay, well, we've gotten rid of all the men in the first, in all the leads. And I was like, is that okay? And one of the producers with Good Deed, which I really give them credit for, they're like, this is your movie. Do you want to make that? And I was like, fuck yeah, I do. Yes. Okay, great. It's all women, and most of them are queer, and let's go. And so I'm just really lucky that I can create these worlds that I want, and I don't have someone telling me I can't do that. I have people telling me I can do that, and that's really lovely. So yeah, thank you.
I just want to say with that Paul to Paul, that change, I never knew about that until I started getting the dailies, and I was just kind of like, what's going on? Thanks for the heads up, but and we figured it out. But it was kind of fun to be like, oh, I guess they changed that. But then I started watching her takes. I forgot the actor's name right now, and I'm like, oh, well, that's why they made the change, because she was absolutely wonderful.
She was fantastic.
Yeah. Jordan's amazing.
Yes. Yeah.
Thanks for editing this little lesbian film when you could be working on bigger projects.
Yes.
So part of just kind of piggybacking off of what Kristen said, part of the reason I really enjoy working on her films is, I don't know if this is politically wrong to say, but the fact that most of the characters in her film are lesbian characters it's almost like a normalization kind of thing. The fact that they're lesbian or gay or whatever the definition is not the central point of the film. It's a love story that happens to be between 2 women and the daughter, who was also just another brilliant actor that I was really fortunate to get to work on the film with her. So that's part of the reason I really enjoy working on these projects with her.
Thanks, Matthew.
And thanks for not identifying how the child came to be. That was nice that 2 women had a child together.
Yeah.
And thanks for the big city versus small town defense of, I'm really comfortable here.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. That speaks to me very deeply. So I appreciate that resonating with you. Yes.
To one
So I will start with a story. So when so my first AD, who is born and bred SoCal, like was sneaking out to clubs and doing drugs when she was 16, and like she's like the ultimate like fuck you world, and like I'm a lesbian, like she's just this incredible pushing of like, this is who I am, this is what we represent. So when she was in small town Ohio, she was like, what the fuck did you do to me? But so we went to the bookstore, which is originally called Fig and Oak, right? Which is on this like cute little main street in a very small town called Ashland, Ohio. As we were walking up to the bookstore, I think it was on a Saturday, we were scouting it. We noticed in the park there were like these protesters. There was like maybe 10 or 15 and they had signs. And I thought, oh fuck, like here's a protest that's like pro what does not resonate with me. I mean, I'm trying not to like super get into politics, but all that, it was like it was their version of the No Kings rally. And they do it, like this group goes to that park once a month. I'm just gonna say it, and basically protest Trump and protest his policies and protest anti-DEI. But when we were walking up to the bookstore, because we knew we were in small town Ohio, we assumed it was a pro-fascist Trump rally. And so as we walked up and we saw, it was like anti all of that, like it was almost like this sigh of relief that we were like, oh, not everyone here could hate us. And the woman who owns the Fig and Oak bookstore has a trans child. And so she was incredibly supportive. You know, I don't want to paint this as like the most rosiest picture, but those two things I was like, hell yes. Now, when we did put a call out for extras to come and be in like the book signing and stuff like that, there were a few people, and by a few, it's like 2 of the 15 that we had show up were just like, oh, I didn't realize this was LGBTQ. I'm not comfortable with this, I'm not coming. So it was a minority, very, very minority people who we felt unwelcomed from. But the vast majority we felt fine and safe, and we knew, I mean, obviously you're gonna pick places and people who, you know you're okay with. And so it was okay, like it was good. The restaurants that we went to, like Stacey and I are very affectionate, so, and we never felt like we had to edit or, you know, like not touch one another or hold hands or anything like that. So yeah, so Ashland, and there is a university there, Ashland University. So, you know, I think anytime you have a college nearby, like that's always like, unless it's like Liberty University, but like that's always like tends to be very helpful. So, but we did feel very welcome there. Like great question, thank you. Yes, Leslie, right? Haha.
Really appreciated all the acting from all of the different actors, but I know several of them, this is their first time and they're very new. What do you do when you're working with new actors to get this incredible performance out?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, in fact, Noelle, this was her first feature film.
That was
Now,
my question.
no, I know. Now, she had done a lot of theater. So and June, my niece, had done a lot of theater. And so anytime someone has a theater background, I'm always like, whew, okay, we're okay, because they're very, and I actually said this because Stacey, her first time, and I could literally hear her rehearsing lines with her kids. If an actor comes to set with lines memorized, that is like 60% of the job done. Because as long as they can sit in a memorized line, then you can start making like little adjustments or adjusting like what they're doing or the performance. So a lot of coming to set is knowing your lines. And I know that sounds like so simple, but it really is, because I can fine tune from there. Like that's usually like, as humans, like I feel like I can tap into something that that might resonate with them, where I'm like, hey, when you say this, like, why don't you think about this? But as long as, if they don't have their lines memorized, you're fucked. Like, that's it. So as long as lines are memorized, that's like 60% of the battle. Yeah. Okay, we got 2. So I'm gonna go to the person with the phone, and then I'm gonna go here.
I wanted to ask about your partnership with Good Deed. What is your hope for getting this film out there, and maybe what else is on the slate for Tello this year?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, so Good Deed was an amazing partner. We had actually distributed some other movies that they had produced that were not part of, that I wasn't involved with. And they were an incredibly, they were really easy to work with. And so that's what made me realize, like, oh, okay, like, I would love to work with you on something in the future. And, you know, they got us the screening here, and they got us our one in Nashville, and our one that we just did in LA. And so they've been really supportive in getting this out to a larger audience. And of course, Tello, like, I feel like we're a really good partner because we're gonna shout it from the rooftops and try and get as many people to watch it as possible. So I'm hoping that if this movie does well, I did a pitch to production for another holiday rom-com, and so I'm hoping that that one is able to happen this next year. So we'll have another one, either through Good Deed or through Tello. Like, we're really committed to having a holiday rom-com each year, because I think that our community also deserves cheesy holiday movies that have these crazy tropes and just super, like, you know, where you don't have to think too hard. You can just sit back and really enjoy the journey. So yeah, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear that the lead was her first feature. I was curious, like, in the casting, how did the team know, like, okay, that's our Noelle?
So for the casting for Noelle and Callie, we actually did Zoom chemistry reads. So we sent out, a lot of people sent in their self-tapes, and then once we kind of narrowed it down to our top 2, we then did Zoom chemistry reads between Callie and Noelle. And then for Callie, we also did chemistry reads with June, my niece, and Callie, because I wanted to make sure there was a really solid, you know, mother-daughter connection there as well. And Callie, whose name is actually Callie, really, really nailed it. And Shelby was just, I mean, Shelby has a big Disney background as well and has done a ton of theater. And so even though the camera was a little foreign to her, like, she knew to come, like, prepared and have a backstory, and she could hit her mark and, you know, say her line. In fact, you really thought Noelle, Shelby, you were surprised that was her first time.
Oh yeah, I was totally floored, and not just because I had a little tally at one point for how many nose crinkles she did throughout the film.
She does a lot of nose crinkles.
Yes.
No, she was absolutely brilliant. I had no idea that was her first time on camera, so yeah, she did a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah. Right, if none else, we're gonna go to brunch. But I don't, if you have a burning question, this is it, everyone. I mean, you can also, like, get us on social media. So, yeah, one more, okay, yay, good for you.
I thought the misunderstanding about the book thief made a ton of sense. Was that in the original script? Was that always gonna be?
Oh my gosh, no, it wasn't. Okay, y'all, here's the interesting thing, and I can say this because Katie and I have talked about this. The original writer, Noelle, actually stole the book. I know. In the original, I think that's the one that you read. I don't even know if you remember. In the original book, Callie didn't, I will say this, Callie didn't have the book written. She had a bunch of notes, and she gave the notes to Noelle, who then started writing and being inspired by Pepper and Callie and the story, and wrote Carol of the Bells and sent it to Jillian. I know. And then I read that and I was like, she's an asshole. And you cannot have an unlikable lead. And so then I was trying to think, okay, well, what could happen? So then we went back in and adjusted it where Callie has written it, and the funny thing is, I don't know if you noticed, like 2 or 3 times they mention the ending is not great. And Stacey actually has a book that she's written where she doesn't like the ending, and so she hasn't finished it. And I actually used that as an inspiration for this. So that was the thing, is like she's written it, but she doesn't like the ending and she doesn't know how to fix it. And so when she gives it to Noelle to have her look over and read, and then Paulette steals it, then there's not really a bad guy. It's like more of a misunderstanding and more of like ambition is almost the antagonist. So yeah, no, that wasn't in the original one, but when I got it, I was like, oh, we can't have that. That's not good. So, but again, Katie's a brand new writer, and so you can see the foundation of the characters in here, but she's got a few things off on it. But yeah, that's a great question. That is not actually what. Yeah, Dallas.
Okay, I got one more tiny question.
It's okay. It's okay.
So,
You're just stopping us from a mimosa, but go ahead.
knowing that the villaining of gay characters has been such like a long trope from eon, how long do you think it's going to be before we could actually have like just a regular type of villain character in our storytelling without it being
problematic? I don't know. I mean, hopefully soon, right? Hopefully soon. I think right now we just don't want them to kill us.
right?
I feel like that's where the bar is. So making them an enemy, I think I don't find it as problematic as long as they live in the end, because so many lesbians die. So, I mean, I think we're okay. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of funny, like when you see Paulette come in and scan the manuscript, and you're like, oh no, what's gonna happen? So, I don't know, I bought it. I was okay with it. Anything else? Burning questions. Or you can ask me later, Alfred.
Enjoy your
you can ask me-
mimosas.
What?
Enjoy your mimosas.
Enjoy your